Welcome to Profit and Prosper, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to make some money while doing what they love. On this podcast, we're going to pull back the curtain and talk about all things business and money, but I promise you this is not your typical boring numbers talk. I'm your host, Sarah Young, a CPA and CFO with over a decade of experience in finance, business, and leadership. I'm going to share everything I've learned from helping my clients grow more profitable businesses and keep more of what they earn while growing my own successful business along the way. You'll feel empowered and confident that you too can grow your wealth, live a rich life, and have an impact. Stick with me and you might even start to think that finance is fun. Let's dive in. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Millionaire CEO series. This is episode 2. So if you have not listened to last week's episode, which was episode 1 of the series, definitely go check that out. Today, what we are going to be talking about is exactly how you build a 7-figure empire from your business. So we're going to cover how your business is a wealth creation tool, and we'll talk about why you can't separate, as an entrepreneur, you can't separate your business from your personal finances. We'll talk through how the money flow works. We're going to cover 2 strategies that will help you in your wealth creation journey when it comes to your business. And then we'll talk about how to actually make those strategies happen. Before we dive in, I do want to remind you that next Thursday, August 10th from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, I am hosting a masterclass called Potential to Prosper. Kind of like Profit and Prosper. Obviously, I like the word prosper, but anywho, Potential to Prosper. It is going to be about how to unlock the potential to create wealth in your business. So this episode today, I timed on purpose. In the masterclass, we're going to dive a lot deeper into the topics that I'm covering in this week's episode and last week, and really the whole series. We're going to go in depth on the money flow you need to build wealth as your business grows. We'll talk more in depth about the 2 strategies that you can use to get 6 to 7 figures out of your business within the next 5 years. We'll talk about the 4 key elements you need to make those 2 strategies successful. And the one thing that I see preventing most entrepreneurs from building a 7-figure empire. I'm also going to have about 20-30 minutes assigned to create an action plan. So you're going to get a workbook and we're going to roll up our sleeves and create an actual action plan so that you have some steps to start implementing in the next 30, 60, 90 days to actually take steps toward becoming a millionaire CEO. And then we'll of course have time for a Q&A session with me where I will personally answer your questions. So I am really excited to do this. I haven't hosted a masterclass since last May. So go sign up for that if you are interested in building wealth. If you're thinking, I want to build wealth, I want to become a millionaire, I just don't know how to do it. If you're serious about doing it, then come to my masterclass. It is $47 and it is going to be bomb. I'm really excited about it. So that URL will be in the show notes, or you can go to sarahhyoung.com/potential. There's 2 H's in that URL. Go sign up there and I will see you next Thursday. Okay, so now I want to talk about some of the same ideas we're going to talk about. I'm just going to kind of keep it high level in this episode because I don't want to reteach a whole 2-hour masterclass. So let's talk about how your business impacts your wealth. I'm really strongly of the belief that as entrepreneurs, you cannot separate your business from your personal finance discussions. And I see this happen all of the time, because people go to traditional financial advisors, and nothing against financial advisors, but they go to financial advisors, most of whom do not understand businesses. They don't understand what's going on in people's businesses, and they really only specialize in more of the traditional investments like retirement accounts and brokerage accounts, and they don't even think about some other things that a lot of my entrepreneurial clients like to get into, like investing in other businesses and real estate and just alternative stuff. So I think we have to make sure that as you are making a wealth plan, you are factoring in your business, and also, of course, that your business is making enough money to have an impact on your wealth plan. So your business is a wealth creation tool. I personally am we are under contract to buy a business. And this is really due to my business being as successful as it has been, because we have been able to basically go and get a loan from a bank to buy the business that we're buying based on my business's tax returns being really strong. And so what that means is I have an asset in my business that a bank is willing to give me a loan on, and loans are tax-free money. If you see these like Instagram or like TikTok videos about people talking about how wealthy people will take loans against their assets to go invest in other stuff, like this is what they're talking about. One of the many different ways you can structure this. But I'm getting a loan that would be collateralized against the assets in my business, meaning if we default on the loan payments, they would take my business, which obviously we're not going to have happen. But this is funded by my business having the value that it has. And it has the value that it has because it has cash flow. You've heard me in previous episodes share pretty detailed numbers about the cash flow and revenue that I've generated. And so I won't go deep into that, but that is driving us being able to make this other investment into another business that is going to continue to build our empire. For my husband and I, we call it our empire. So your business is a wealth creation tool, and there's really two ways that this happens. Number one, your business produces cash flow, meaning your business, you have sales coming in, you obviously spend on expenses, you have taxes, and then whatever you have left over is cash flow that you as the owner are free to dictate how you spend that cash flow. And so you can use that to go and make other investments outside of your business or even within your business just to keep growing and keep making more cash flow. The second way is business value. And so business value is going to be based on how much cash flow your business generates. So the more cash flow you make, the higher the value you have in your business. There's obviously a lot more factors. I won't go deep into that here, but your business has value, meaning you could go and sell it to somebody else and get cash for that business. Or like in the case of me going to apply for a bank loan to buy a business, the bank sees that my business has value and they give me a loan against that value. So I have an asset. And so the wealth creation tool is that it produces cash flow to go and invest, and then you also have an asset that other people recognize has value. So we're going to use that asset to create a 7-figure empire. And when I say 7-figure empire, I do not mean 7 figures in sales. Although I know a lot of you probably would love to have a business that gets to there. Some of you don't, and that's totally fine. A 7-figure empire, it is about money in the bank, like the assets in the bank, and not the sales coming in. So I know from talking to people that most of you want to have a business that will pay you like a $300K or more paycheck each year. And I know this, one, because I talk to people a good bit, and two, I have done polls in my Instagram stories. Not that this is statistically significant, but I was actually surprised at the number of people who said, I put a poll up one day, do you want a 50K paycheck, 100K, or 300K? What's your ideal pay? And the vast, vast, vast majority of people said 300K. Like, that's great. And we have to really think about how are you going to get 300K a year? So 300K a year in a paycheck, I'm going to pull out my calculator. What is that? 25K monthly cash flow. I tend to think of this as after-tax cash flow. At least is how I try to think about it. So that would mean that your gross paycheck before taxes is probably 400K. So how are you going to get 25K cash flow a month after tax? You could do this from your main business, or it could be a combination of your business plus other investments that give you cash flow. If you want to do it from your main business, you're going to have to scale your business up to at least $1 million in revenue. I do not think it's likely for the vast majority of people to have, if you want to pay yourself 300K, 400K pre-tax, you're not going to get there on a 400 or 500K business because you're going to have too many expenses that people just don't understand the scale of the expense that you have to net that in profit. And so you have to scale your business up to at least $1 million, if not $1.5, 2 million to be able to net that paycheck. But as you think about building a 7-figure empire, I think coming up with the plan to scale your business up to that point to where you're making 1, 2, 3 million in revenue and then you're able to take home 30 to 50% of that revenue. That's always my goal for clients is, can we take home or have in profit plus owner pay? Can we make that at least 30% of revenue? Because to me, that is a really financially healthy business. That also gives you a really solid business value, because if you can net $300K from your business, you could probably go sell that for close to $1 million. So as we think about building your empire, how do we implement a growth plan to get your business up to $1 to $3 million, maybe up to 5? This is my personal take. I don't want a business that does 10 million in revenue, or really even more than 5 million in revenue. At least sitting here today, I don't, because I have just seen enough clients to know that once you hit somewhere between 3 and 5 million, stuff gets dicey. It is just one of those, I read this somewhere. It was like when you go from, 3 to 5 million, it's like having to set out on the Oregon Trail and like hope you have all your supplies, or have to turn around and go back and start over again. And 2 to 3 million in revenue, if you're taking home 30% of that, that could be, $600K in profit per year. If you had a $3 million business, that could be $1 million in take home. I have clients who do this. Okay. So if we're taking home 500, 600K a year, you are going to not only be able to afford basically whatever you want in your personal life, but you will have an asset in your business that a bank is going to give you a loan against so that you can go invest in more things. You also have enough cash flow that you could set aside chunks of money, like 100K plus, to go and invest in other things. And within a few years, you've got easily a 7-figure empire. So you want to make sure, though, we're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, all in the business. And so as you create income, even before you get to the $1 million mark, I think it's really crucial to start allocating some of your income into other investments. So taking some of your cash flow and investing that into other things, whether that's retirement accounts or real estate, any of the other things I listed out in the last episode. I think it's important because the sooner that you start to do that, the faster you are going to hit $1 million in net worth or more. As an example, when I went full-time in my agency business in the summer of 2020, I would say that my husband and I combined probably had a net worth of like 200, 300K, and it was mostly retirement accounts and savings accounts. Now, 3 years later, we have a combined net worth of over $1 million because my business grew that substantially. And so when I say, let's talk about how you can become a millionaire in the next 2 to 5 years, this is not that out of reach for people. If you structure your business to get you there, if you structure your business in a way so that it is a wealth creation tool, is the key part. And y'all, so many people, when you think about the money flow, so many people only think about sales coming in their business, and they do not think about any of the subsequent steps that I outlined, right? How much of your sales is going to expenses and taxes? How much are you taking home? What are you investing? People stop at sales because you think that is magically going to make everything else happen when you have crazy amounts of sales coming in the door. Except it doesn't, because you have to be really intentional about actually building wealth. Okay, end rant. So once you have a business doing, $1 million, 2 million, 3 million, whatever the goal is, what do you do? So I would say there's 2 exit strategies that I want you to think about. And I want you to think about this even if you're not planning to quote unquote leave your business right now. Because it's important to structure things so that, your business allows you the time freedom and energy to live your life and not be tied to your business all the time. So, I've talked about this recently. I've gotten to the point where I'm working 25 to 30 hours a week for the last few months I've been doing this. And y'all, just the change in my life has been unreal since I've been able to do this. And so we want to make sure that you're structuring your business to run that way. And by doing some of those things, you're actually setting up an exit strategy, because you're going to structure your business so it doesn't rely on your time to run everything, which means that you can easily employ one of my 2 primary exit strategies. So the two exit strategies that I see most people use are number one, selling. That could be selling to a third party, to a family member, to an employee, to a partner, whoever. But selling the business, or number two is what I would call retiring in the business, where you no longer do client work. You're not even involved in marketing and sales. You're just the CEO / figurehead / maybe even the business owner, and you hire another CEO. And so what that enables you to do as a business owner is you're entitled to the profits of the business. And if you've built a business that's netting 3, 4, 500K a year plus, you get the rights to the vast majority of that profit. Okay. Those are the two exit strategies. So you're going to sell your business for the one and net, 6 to 7 figures in cash, which you would then turn around and go invest into something else that produces cash flow. You're not just going to sit that cash in your bank account. Hopefully not. Or number two, you're going to retire in the business and just collect a monthly or quarterly profit distribution that goes into your overall cash flow bucket. Goes towards your overall, 25K monthly cash flow target or whatever it is. So those are your two exit strategies. So the question is, how do you go from where you are today to having a business that is structured so that you are creating wealth, investing in assets that produce passive income that can replace the income from your business, and you have a business set up to employ one of those two exit strategies I talked about that will give you even more cash flow in the future? How do you do that? That is your growth plan. The plan is getting clear on what is the end goal that you're shooting for in terms of monthly or annual cash flow. That is the first question I always want people to ask. And then figuring out, how can you structure your business? How can you scale your business up to be able to generate that money so that you can take that money and start investing it into other things along the way, and simultaneously create a business that has a high value that is another asset in your overall wealth portfolio. And so the flow is make a ton of money in your business, invest to build wealth, and then generate passive income so that you can be work optional. That is the flow. And ideally, you can do like I do, and along the way, you're making enough money in your business and you structure things so that you can not have to spend 60 hours a week working. Okay, so that you can work part-time hours and become a millionaire on part-time hours. It is totally possible. So the last thing I want to talk about quickly is work optional. And this actually wasn't even in my notes. I'm just going to bring this up because I was talking to somebody about this a few weeks ago, and she said, well, if I don't have to spend all of my time in my business, what am I going to do with myself? Like, what's the point? Because I don't know what I would spend my time doing. And I was like, okay, that is the question, right? That is a bigger question. I think a lot of us have that question. I've had it too, because for the longest time, my identity was wrapped up in working hard, in being busy, in, growing this business. And it took this mind shift to realize, like I talked about last week, that wealth is as much the mindset as it is the tactics of having, assets in the bank or money in the bank. And so if you're wondering that, if you're like, this just seems like a lot of work and strategy, and I'm not sure I even care about being work optional or whatever, I would say, really sit down and get super clear on what you want to do with your life, how you want to spend your time, who do you want to spend it with, and are you doing things that align with that vision today? Or are you doing like I have done in the past and I've seen so many clients do? So you just keep telling yourself like, oh, after this busy season, I'll finally start exercising. Or after I finish this project, I'm going to free up more time on my calendar. Or I'm going to start traveling. I'm going to start taking more time off, except you never break that busy cycle. That is, in my view, that's probably not aligned with what most of us have as our overall wealthy mindset or wealthy goals when you think about the way that you want to be spending your life. So I'm just really big on not sacrificing anything today to build wealth for ourselves in the future. Because for me, there's no better time in my life than right now, because I'll never be as young as I am. My husband will never be as young as he is. My kid will never be as young as he is. Like, we're going to have fun and enjoy our lives. And instead of like deferring joy and fun and happiness until some future date that never comes, because we never break the cycle that we're in. So that's the last note I want to say. Again, come to my masterclass next week. If this podcast episode is causing you to start thinking about, I want to do some of these things. I want to be a millionaire. I want to put myself on that path in the next 2, 3, 5 years. If you want to get on that path, then we need to start thinking about the plan today and start putting action steps in place to help you get there. So come to my masterclass next Thursday, August 10th from 1 to 3. You can go sign up at sarahhyoung.com/potential. And I hope to see everybody there. And I'll see you back next week for the next episode in the Millionaire CEO series. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Now, I want you to go take some action. What's one thing you can do this week to create more profit in your business? Send me a DM on Instagram at YoungCoCFO and share your action item with me. If you have a question or topic you'd like me to dive into, or if you're feeling empowered about taking charge of your finances, let's continue the conversation. Go to profitandprosper.co to submit a question or topic for me to talk about on the show. And because we all profit and prosper better with friends, please leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe wherever you listen, and share the episode. Make sure you tag me at YoungCoCFO on Instagram so I can give you some love, and I'll see you in the next episode.